I'm just gonna wait a couple more minutes because we don't quite have everyone, but then we can start. All right, we can probably get started then. I hope everyone's doing well this morning. It's a beautiful Saturday morning. And so today we're going to talk about, we're going to do an icebreaker. Then we're going to talk about some of the data that we got from AXP's high altitude balloon launch, and specifically how that can be analyzed using Python. Then after that, we're going to talk just a little bit more about how everyone's doing on their Python challenges, on their resumes. And then at the end, we're going to have a little bit of work time in everybody's sub-teams. So to start off with, what's the weirdest animal you know of? And I created breakout rooms for this. So my thought is that we can all go into breakout rooms and then collectively think of the weirdest animal that we know of and come back and share that with the group.
I'm trying to decide whether I should join. Maybe. Do you know the echidna?
The echidna, I've heard of it. Is that the weird spiny dude? Like,
It's in Australia. It's like a cross. It's kind of like a platypus. It's like a cross. It's a mammal that lays an egg.
okay. So it looks like a hedgehog, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I actually saw one.
In Australia?
Yeah. Yeah. walking along. It walked right in front of me, and then it curled up. And it went into the bushes, and you could still see its butt, but it couldn't see me. So,
How big is it?
oh, sorry. It's about this big. It would be like a good sized rabbit.
Okay. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah, and they couldn't. Uh, it had these strong defenses where animals couldn't eat it because of the ball of spikes. Um, and then the dingoes figured out that because it has claws, and so they couldn't get it loose to get to its underbelly. And then the dingoes figured out if they peed on them, that seriously,
That's
that
awesome.
their muscles would relax and they could flip them over, and then they could attack them from the soft underbelly. And so once the dingoes figured that out, then they had a problem with too many of them getting killed. And who knows how the dingoes figured that out and passed it on. But they
Yeah,
did.
yeah. What has to be going through your mind as a predator? Just I'll urinate on this animal and then I can eat it.
Well, it's funny though. I can see that as it's a very male dominance thing.
Yeah.
I may not be able to get you, but I'm going to pee on you to show you I'm dominant. Oh, wait, now I can get you.
It's an amazing hunting strategy.
Yeah, yeah. So there you go.
That's certainly a notable animal.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard of naked mole rats?
Yeah, yeah. Naked mole rats are pretty cool. In fact, they have a display at the Lincoln Zoo.
Yeah, I saw that. They're super cool and they can survive in like 10% oxygen environments, which is like half of what most animals can.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because since they're underground, that makes sense. But then what's interesting is that because they are naked, they need the temperature to be real consistent,
Yeah. They kind of regulate temperature on their own just by basically getting into masses and like just sleep with each other, basically just in a ball.
Yep. Yeah, they're pretty cool. Yeah, it's amazing some of the creatures in there, how they've adapted. So
Yeah. Sam, what's your weirdest animal?
is he there? Sam, are you there? I don't think he's there.
All right, that's fine.
Yeah, it's funny because there's so many strange animals. My mom, her Saturday mornings, she's always watching the television shows, the nature shows,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm trying to think, what's that bird in Australia that's got the horn on its head?
The bird that has a horn in its head?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It actually killed a man. Um, let me see. There it is.
I've never heard of this.
It's the cassowary.
Oh, okay.
And it's got a hook on the back of its its back of its heel. So the cassowary is strange too, because so it's got that horn and it's got that hook. And there was a man who had, I guess, kind of as a pseudo pet. And recently, and in the last couple of years, it actually attacked and killed him. But one of the things that's interesting is that the males actually take care of the chicks and raise them, not the females.
Okay.
They lay these big green eggs that are maybe larger than a grapefruit, about grapefruit sized. But here it actually says the cassowary bird, the world's most dangerous bird.
See,
Dagger-like middle toes. were responsible for the death of a man in Florida last year.
See, I know that they are probably dangerous, but they don't look like anything but just like a big cotton ball. I mean,
their bodies, but that horn on its head is just weird.
Yeah, I suppose.
And they're big. It's interesting if you go to like you have so many like zoo type things in Australia. They definitely make it where like you're up on a boardwalk and they're down below and there's fencing and stuff so that they can't get to you.
Mm-hmm.
But when we went up in kind of along the North Coast, we were lucky enough because we actually saw like a father with, two or three different times, a father crossing the road with the babies. Well, but we were in a vehicle. Yeah, so that was kind of cool. Actually, our guide said, because I think one had like 4 babies, and he was like, that is the most I've ever seen, in my life.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I don't know. Cassowary or echidna?
I mean, they're both cool. I think echidna is a little bit more of a funny story about them.
Yeah, funny but sad. Yeah, yeah, and they've got like a little beak,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've been successfully grossed out this morning.
How's that?
There are animals that regrow their body parts. So there's 2 heads that they're growing 2 heads, and blobfish and goblin sharks and cookie cutter sharks. Google them. They're pretty ugly.
I've seen blobfish. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm having nightmares.
We were talking about echidnas, which, do you know what an echidna is? It's in Australia. It's like a spiny anteater. It's small, almost like a rabbit size. And so its outside's almost like a porcupine, and then it's got sharp claws. And so when predators attack it, it grabs the ground real tight and curls up in a ball. So you're just looking at a ball of spikes. And so I was telling John, it didn't have any predators that could get to it until somehow like the dingoes figured out that if they peed on it, it affected the nervous system and their muscles relaxed. And then they could flip it over and attack it and eat it through its belly. And so they were once safe until some dingo, I don't know, trying to show dominance, peed on it.
Dylan, I want to hear more about this buzzsaw shark.
Yeah.
It's basically, so think of a shark, but it only has 1 layer of teeth, and it kind of like wraps like a saw like that. If you look it up, it's like,
yeah,
it's like this, and then it has teeth going up like that around it,
Yeah, it looks almost like a circular saw.
Yeah, I go to images and then.
Oh, that is what? That is weird. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
There's also like the goblin shark. So this thing is, I'm pretty sure this is extinct now.
Yeah.
Correct, but it's based off this. It has adapted into the saw shark. Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, these goblin sharks look pretty weird too.
What was yours, Robert? I can't pronounce it.
An axolotl.
Axolotl.
Oh, they're weird. Yeah. Those are weird. And are those
There's-
gills or what are they on the side of the head?
Kind of
What-
cute, honestly.
Elsa, what was yours? A blob?
Blobfish.
Blobfish. Looks like my uncle.
Ugh. That was so ugly.
Looking at Aye with a space in the middle.
AYE.
Oh. Look at those fingers.
Goblin
They're
fingers.
horrifying.
It almost looks like bat fingers, like on that tail.
Look at those eyes.
Horrifying.
Picture a flying fox.
Oh, what?
A flying fox. They're like gargantuan bats.
Oh, dang, those are pretty big.
Holy
Yeah.
cow.
What were some other notable ones that you guys had?
Keegan, what'd you have?
Ours was the cuttlefish, Cuttle. They're a really interesting, sort of like squid-like creature. They live on the coast of the UK and Australia. They can change color in like 0.3 seconds, and there's multiple subspecies. Some can hypnotize their prey. Some can, one has like poisonous muscles, and then they're really interesting, but they have donut-shaped brains and W-shaped pupils. So I love them. They're so cute. They can be anywhere from like 2 inches to 3 feet, depending on the species. And they live mostly in along the UK and parts of Asia. So
That is
Yep.
weird. Yeah.
Evan, what'd you have?
I was in Tegan's group and we were just talking about cuttlefish, and
Cuttlefish.
there was another one. What was it? I forgot what it was, but it was kind of weird also. Oh yeah, it was a vampire squid.
fact about axolotls is that they're endangered in Mexico, so people eat them, but you can only get the pink ones in the pet trade because it's a mutation that happened over time as they were bred. Fun fact.
Weird. These vampire squid are kind of funky.
Hmm.
Who's it in the chat? Somebody said, oh, pangolin, Caleb.
I can never remember that name, pangolin. That's been a lot of those are endangered because I think in China they do something with the scales that's supposed to make them more virile or something.
I've heard that they don't really attack, they just like roll up into a ball, allowing them to like be picked up.
Yeah. Also, Evan, yes, these are the COVID animals.
Dang, those are weird.
Hmm.
Ghost-faced bat.
That's pretty spooky.
I dislike that.
That's uncomfortable to look at. It's like, yeah. Siren head? Like a siren head squid, you mean, Andrew Hardy, or what?
Siren head's like a monster.
Oh, okay. Huh.
All these things are enough to have nightmares.
Yeah, no kidding. Gotta love the star-nosed mole. Zombie ants.
I like Homo sapiens.
Those are pretty creepy.
It's because it's a parasite. You have zombie ants, zombie snails, and then that one thing that eats a fish's tongue. They're really gross, and I don't like them at all.
That's unsettling. Megatherium. Oh dang. As a sloth. Okay. Here are tardigrades. Hairless sun bears. That is. Yeah, see, shaved bears just look absolutely monstrous. Titanoboa. Dang, that is a big noodle.
He's cute.
So are these actual bears? Huh, yeah, cool. This is really cool hearing all of the animals. I've definitely seen a couple more that I haven't ever seen before. Now that we're all excited about animals, what do you say we talk about CubeSats? Matthew, do you want to talk about the data analysis?
Yeah, I can.
I go for it.
Yeah, okay. So yeah, I just started doing some data analysis last night. I didn't have a bunch of time, but basically a few graphs I came up with. One, I just wanted to look at like how our temperature regulation system with our nichrome wire works. And as you can see by the graph on the left, it seemed to work really well. This graph is a bit confusing when you first look at it, but these big graphs that are around like -120 are actually when the sensor malfunctioned. The sensor was only rated for like -55 degrees Celsius or warmer. So once, as you can see, that's like right when it gets to -55, it just drops right down to -127, and that's like the null value it gives you. So realistically, these values are probably around like -60 or so, but as you can see, our lowest temperature, the blue is atmospheric temperature, by the way, and then the orange is our internal temperature. So we got as cold as like -60 degrees Celsius, but we kept it, we kept our internal temperature reasonably warm. I think the lowest I ever got was like 0 degrees Celsius, which is still cold, but like a lot better than -50. And then another graph I came up with was just the atmospheric pressure as we got higher and higher and higher. I think the lowest I ever got was like 52 hectopascals is a unit they give us. I don't really know what the conversion into like a more known unit like atmospheres is, but I think that's pretty low. And then this was the gas sensor we had on board, and I don't really know like what the significance of like all these gases and the presence of them in the atmosphere is, but this is just all the data the sensor gave us back. So I just plotted it up kind of all out in one graph. I was really confused at first, and I thought I might have made a mistake in the code because of like almost how perfect the green and the red lines are, like exact clones of each other, except the ethanol is just like shifted up a bit. So I thought I might have made a mistake, but then I looked back on the sensor, and I think they're kind of calculated based off each other. So there's just a relationship between the two, and it's actually only measuring H2 and then estimating ethanol based off that. So that makes a bit more sense. And then I think ECO2 is kind of like a measure of all the greenhouse gases. I think it stands for equivalent CO2. And it's not really just a measurement of CO2, but also the measurement of like methane and a few other gases that also can contribute to climate change. But yeah, so these are all the different gas percentages. And I think we can do some more analysis on this and kind of like learn more about the theory behind it all to make them make more sense. Because right now we just have data.
Right.
But so I know you guys have been working on Python a bit these last couple of weeks, and that's basically what I used. And I mean, all these graphs took me no more than an hour to make using Python. Python has some really interesting, some really easy to use graphing libraries where you can basically just throw out a bunch of data and it'll make it into these nice little plots for you. So that's just an example of some really useful stuff you can do with Python. And it's really easy to do once you get the hang of it.
Were those sensors all like the CO2 and the TVOC, were those all on the inside or the outside of the can sets?
They were all on the inside. Yeah, and I guess I forgot to explain TVOC. I think it stands for total. Never mind, I don't know what it stands for, but it's like
volatile organic
yeah. If you know more about it, you can talk to it, but
I don't.
Yeah, it's just a measure of like volatile compounds in the atmosphere, I think. And this is a bit misleading. I don't really know how to scale this graph very well because TVOC, as you can see, is in parts per billion, and it seems like it's pretty level with the ECO2, but the ECO2 is in parts per million. So realistically, the TVOC should be way below the orange, but when they're in different scales, they model each other really well, which is pretty interesting.
So did you use, what kind of software did you use with Python to model all of this?
So it's a library called Matplotlib.
Matplotlib.
Yeah, which is a really popular just like graphing package. NumPy is another one, which just like helps you work with, like you can just kind of give it data and it just kind of like will clean up your data and put in like a really nice, easy to use like data set. I don't know how to explain it, but it just gives you lots of like functions to use with your data and just to make it really nice. And then along with that, I just use, it's called like an Atom. It's just kind of like Notepad, but kind of like with a lot more functions. And I use that to write the code and then I just compile it and run it. And it gives me these graphs.
That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess everybody else, this is a really good application of Python.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody's interested and you want to see like what the code looks like or how to do this, you can message me. I'm free to talk about it. Happy to talk about it.
So John, do you see us analyzing this data in a similar fashion?
I think we definitely could, yeah. So yeah, I think that'd be a fun project. Maybe right after we get the proposal all done, like over Christmas break, we could start doing some of that. And definitely with the next high altitude balloon we do in the spring, we can definitely analyze that data with Python like this.
I can talk a bit more about like what's left to analyze, I guess.
Yeah, go for it.
So we also have a lot of accelerometer data, and that basically just gives you like the acceleration and all three axes, X, Y, and Z. And from this, you can use some calculus to get your like velocity, how fast. But lucky for us, I'm guessing there is probably, once again, some nice libraries that'll do it all for you really easily. Our velocity, so we could see like how fast we're moving at any given time. And then the other thing we want to do is our altitude. Altitude is kind of a complicated thing to measure because lots of these GPSs have a max range and they're also really inaccurate. So we really don't know how high we were at any point, but we have like our temperature, we have our pressure, and I know there's some like calculators online that you can get your altitude based off your pressure and temperature. So it'd be nice if we could make kind of our own script where you could pass in pressure and temperature and it would give you altitude, so that we could also, you know, graph these like gas percentages against altitude and see how they change with a given altitude, which would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that is really cool. Did we get any pictures back from the little camera yet? I know Joel said working on those.
Yeah, Joel's working on it and he handed off to me, but I didn't really have time to get into it too much. And I'm not like very good with Raspberry Pi and Linux, so.
Yeah, I mean, is that picture analysis kind of using Python 2 at all?
I mean, I don't know exactly. I was kind of thinking we would just have them and we could like put them all together into like a, you know, like a stop motion. So it's like a video kind of, but I didn't know exactly what he wanted to do with it, but I didn't get much of a chance to look at it. But we do have some altitude data on the Raspberry Pi, which we can get, but we're not really sure how accurate it is, but we can kind of use that also.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, based on the pressure and what I could find online, I think it was somewhere around like 85,000 or 90,000 feet, which is good.
Yeah, I was wanting to ask you like what because I could not find like a good calculator really.
I don't remember which one it was, but I basically just looked up pressure, like air pressure to altitude calculator. And when I enter the temperature at the very top and the lowest pressure that we had compared to like the pressure at sea level, then it spit out an altitude.
Yeah. What temperature did you input?
I inputted like the negative 57.
Okay, good. I was hoping you didn't input like negative 127.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Way boosted at what it should be, but yeah. That's good.
Yeah. Do you guys have any questions about any of this data stuff or Python? No, nothing. You understand it perfectly. You'll be ready to do it. You do it in your sleep.
What kind of data is the Big Red Sat gonna collect that could be measured?
I can talk a bit about that. So we're kind of doing lots of research right now about that. I know as of yet, I mean, the biggest part of the data we want to collect is like the power output we're getting out of our solar panels. And we can measure that in like different ways. We can measure voltages, we can measure the current coming out of it. So we'll probably have a variety of different sensors measuring that and have those for both solar panels, obviously, so we can compare them. Besides that, I know there's a few other members who are working on like the fast bus and what data that gives you, because I know there's lots of different types of data the fast bus gives you, but we don't necessarily need all that data. But I'm sure there's like accelerometer data, GPS data, all that kind of stuff that will be really useful.
Yeah, and speaking of like the different data that we're going to need, we're splitting up into sub-teams. And so some of the sub-teams are also going to have an opportunity to work specifically on that kind of thing. So from this data, let me see. I might go out of it. So I think Joel is going to talk about this slide then.
Yeah, so you guys should have been doing Python modules 1 and 2 through that online, I forget the exact name, but the online learning site. Has everyone completed those, or did anyone have any troubles completing them? I see some thumbs up. Yeah, I mean, that's good. So some of the later modules, Python modules 3, 4, and 5 are a little bit longer. So instead of giving you 2 modules a week, we kind of talked a little bit about this, and we're just going to assign one of the modules a week because some of the later modules especially aren't super applicable, are kind of just, unnecessary complicated things that we don't need to learn right now. But for next week, for the Python modules, it'd be great if you guys could get done with module 3, as well as we gave you that challenge through Replit. But there's a few problems we were having when we were working on it on the AXP team in some of our meetings. So I don't know, was anyone able to finish that? Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, so yeah, we wanted to make sure that you guys had time to both learn Python well enough to complete the challenge, and then have the time to figure out how to complete the challenge before like completely assigning it. So I think we're gonna assign it for this next week, but if anyone has struggles with it, it's completely okay if you're not able to get it done. But we should be holding office hours again this week that hopefully some of you guys can stop in on. If you guys have any questions or need any help with that side of things. And another reminder, just to make sure that you're getting your resume done today and last night. Some of us have been going through making sure that everyone has submitted one. I know not everyone has, but we haven't gotten the time to double check who has and who hasn't. So if you haven't yet, we're going to start reaching out to you individually and seeing if we can, set up a time to work together, or just see if you needed a little bit of a reminder. And Dylan's question there, where do we submit it? You can submit it to the Big Red Satellite email. John got it there. And kind of to finish up reminders / the check-in, we have this last little push that we have to do before we get the PDR slides ready for the feasibility and merit review. And so we've actually, we sent out that research subteams list in general. I believe, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, but you can probably head on to the next slide, John. And one more, yeah. So we have our 4 subteams just that we kind of divided everyone up into based off of some responses we got from that survey, as well as some, AXP mentors to work with all of you on those subteams for research. But I've been in the process of putting everyone into, individual Slack channels based off of this, that hopefully over this next week, we can communicate throughout those channels while we do research and add things to the PDR. But, and then there's also Google Documents that have a little bit more detailed write-up of exactly what we need to find out and add to the PDR. And we just need to, get that research done. The last little bit, maybe not the most fun, but we just gotta push through this last little bit of research.
When is the proposal due, Joel?
The proposal is due December 16th.
So there's about 30 days roughly to get that done. Are we going to make it?
Certainly, yeah. It's looking like it at least.
Yeah, and we'll actually need to be done a couple days before that so we can run it through in-use grant process.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. But I believe the plan for the rest of the meeting, to kind of break up into breakout rooms, with each of the sub teams, and then start to get to work on this research, because we want to try and have all this information in the updated PDR by next week. And then next week, maybe go through a little bit of a review process of the research that everyone did, what we need to really finish up in that following week, because, but that's going to be Thanksgiving week, so we don't want to have too much to do then. And then that 28th, we hope to have that short meeting we were talking about, mostly to just catch up and maybe play some fun games. And then send off the PDR on that day, the 28th, to all the different support that we have, the NASA mentors, Taylor and Beth. And then AXP has some other mentors at Ensign Bickford Aerospace and Defense, just so we get a large variety of feedback with that matrix that you guys responded to as well.
I'm making breakout rooms right now.
Okay, awesome. And I have the individual Slack channels almost done, but I'm just gonna try and finish that up really fast.
Joel, while you do that, I just wanted to thank Dylan and Elsa and Katie. They did a presentation for Congressman Don Bacon's chief of staff and his policy advisor, and they did a wonderful job. All of you will get a chance to do something like this, and it was on very short notice. And MJ did a great job as well, but thanks. Katie and Elsa and Dylan walked off with $500 donation from the chief of staff. So, and he's going to contribute every month. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. I'm just working on signing these people.
All right. But if you all could go to Slack, I believe there is Slack channels that everyone is in. I think I got everyone in there. I think I got everyone assigned. If you guys can see
Joel,
that.
I got to jump up. You didn't put me in one, right?
No, do you want to be in the perovskite ones?
No, I got to jump out.
Oh,
so
okay.
I'm good.
Yeah, but thanks for coming, John.
I'll be jumping up too.
All right. Well, thanks for stopping in turn too.
There should be everyone. Open all rooms. Cool.
John?
Yes.
Is MJ here today?
MJ is not here today.
Is Sam here today?
Yes. He might be AFK though. I'm not sure if he's here or not. Sam, are you there? Oh wait, no, he's in the break. He joined the breakout room, so yeah, he is. And then I'm gonna join the perovskite ones if that's okay.
Yeah, and Michael is here too, right?